Hey grade twos! I want to talk to you a bit about nonfiction reading this week, and I was thinking you could try to find some nonfiction books maybe in your Raz Kids or Epic or wherever you're getting your books this week. They might even be boat themed. You could search for Vikings or pirates or the Titanic or something else related to boats, or a nonfiction topic of your own choice. One thing I want to talk to you about though is how there are sometimes tricky and new words in nonfiction. So I'm doing something right now that's sort of similar to what you guys are doing as you're reading nonfiction books. I am practicing my French. I really liked French when I was in elementary and junior high and high school, but I'm doing an app right now to try to practice my French skills. So when I'm learning French and when I'm reviewing some of the things that I used to know, I'm realizing there are a lot of words that I don't remember. So they might be words that are used a lot in French, but I don't know what they mean. And I have to do some work to try to figure out what does this word mean. And just like I'm having some trouble with unfamiliar words, you guys will find that reading nonfiction is a lot like learning a new language. It can be really hard sometimes, and sometimes there are words that you just won't know what they mean, and you have to use lots of clues and work hard to figure out what they mean. So today I want to teach you that when readers run into a key word in nonfiction, they work hard to unlock it. And they use the whole page and everything they know about that topic to help them figure out what that word is.
Here on this page about the Titanic, I have a word that I don't know the meaning of. They keep talking about first class, and this is a really important word in this book. I've seen it a lot, so I know I need to pay attention to what it means. So let's take a look at the sentence. It says, "First class passengers ate fancy meals and enjoyed the ship's gym and swimming pool." So it looks like first class passengers are getting really the best things on the ship. And when I look at the pictures, there's a first class cafe and a first class bedroom. And again, they're looking quite fancy. So using those clues, I'm thinking that the first class passengers are the ones who maybe were rich and had the fancy things on the ship. They might have paid a lot of money for their tickets on the Titanic. Now on this next page, still about the Titanic, they're talking about passengers and then immigrants. So let's think about passengers first. I'm going to use my background information from another place. When I go on an airplane, they often call me and the other people on the plane passengers. So I'm wondering if though that means the people who ride on that vehicle. So I'm thinking the passengers are all the people who have bought tickets and are riding on the Titanic. And then immigrants, it says poor immigrants who hope for a better life in America. So it sounds like people who are coming to America to have something different. So maybe people who came from somewhere else. And then often you'll see when you're figuring out a tricky word or an unfamiliar word in a nonfiction book, it will give you a definition. And this page does have a definition. So here on the bottom of the page, it defines it for me. It says immigrants are people who leave one country to settle in another country. Here on this page about the Titanic, I see a diagram of the ship and then labels. And some of these labels are unfamiliar words. So I see the word boiler room. And I don't know what that means in the context of the Titanic, but I do know from when Mrs. LeBlanc gave us our tour of the boiler room at school that the boiler room has a lot of machinery, it heats things, it sort of has the engines that run the school, so I'm thinking that might be what they mean by boiler room. I also see they have the bow of the ship. I also see the word hull, which looks like sort of the bottom part of the ship that's underwater. And if I use the little glossary on this page, there was also a clue about that. The bridge looks like it's close to the front, but inside. So I am wondering if that might be where the captain would be and where they would do all the navigating of the ship. I also know because I watch Star Trek and they call the bridge the spot where the captain and the people who are in charge of running the ship are stationed. And then the last label that I wasn't sure about is this word bow. So bow, it looks like that's the direction that the ship is headed in. So it looks like it's the front of the ship. So that's what I'm thinking that means.
So as you're reading some nonfiction books this week, I want you to remember that you can use the whole page to figure out those tricky words, those unfamiliar words. So you might use the picture, you might use labels, you might use a sentence you read in another part of the book. There are all sorts of different ways that you can figure out what those words mean. And if you really are struggling to figure it out, you can always ask an adult and help them figure out what that word means, and then you can understand your book. Happy reading, guys! Bye!